Ever wish your motorcycle could kind of, tell you what it needed, like when it needed it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like a little heads up before something goes wrong.
Exactly. No more guessing games about that weird engine noise.
Yeah, that would be a game changer.
And guess what? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Right in.
Right in.
Yeah, it's this whole new system designed to give your motorcycle, get this, a digital nervous system.
Wow. A digital nervous system for your motorcycle. That's pretty wild when you think about it.
Isn't it? And it's all about making riding smoother, safer, and maybe even a little more, I don't know, connected.
Connected how?
Well, the documentation you provided breaks Ride In down into 4 main parts: the app, Ride in Sync, the Ride in Console, and Ride in Kick.
4 parts, huh? Sounds pretty complex.
It's actually pretty intuitive once you wrap your head around it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So let's start with the Ride In app, since that's what riders will interact with most directly.
Makes sense. The app is like the rider's main point of contact, right?
Exactly. Think of it like a high-tech dashboard, but in your pocket.
Oh, I see. So instead of looking down at your gauges, you're checking your phone.
Sort of, but way more advanced. The app gives you real-time data on things like speed, fuel level, even engine temperature.
All on your phone. That's pretty handy. I guess no more squinting at tiny gauges while you're riding.
Right. And it gets even better. The app can actually sync up with your bike's manufacturer schedule
Sync up how?
to give you personalized maintenance reminders.
Oh, so like it'll tell you when you're due for an oil change or if your tire pressure's low?
Exactly. No more guessing games or relying on that little sticker in your visor.
That is seriously cool, especially for newer riders who might not be as familiar with all the maintenance stuff.
Totally. It's all about making life easier and safer out on the road.
I can get behind that. But digging a little deeper here, it doesn't seem like the app lets you actually control the motorcycle remotely.
You mean like start it up from your phone?
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. I don't see anything about remote control features in the documentation either. Seems like they're focusing on information and proactive maintenance for now.
So no joyrides for anyone except the rider for the time being.
Maybe in a future version, who knows? But even without remote control, having all that real-time data and proactive maintenance guidance seems like a game changer, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's all about making the riding experience smoother and more informed.
Exactly. And speaking of smooth, let's talk about the mysterious Ride in Sync.
Ride in sync. That sounds intriguing. What is it exactly?
Well, if you think of the app as the brain, then Ride in Sync is like
The what?
the central nervous system. It's constantly gathering data from all the sensors on your motorcycle: speed sensors, temperature sensors, fuel level sensors, you name it.
So it's like the unsung hero working behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Precisely. And because it's gathering information from all these different sensors, it can create a really comprehensive picture of what's going on with your bike in real time.
And that data gets sent straight to the app, right?
It does, but that's not the only place it goes. It also gets sent to the riding console, which is where things get really interesting.
Riding console. It's like the cooler, more integrated older brother of the app.
Oh, how so?
Well, you know how the app gives you all that real-time data on your phone?
Yeah.
The riding console takes that same data but displays it right there on your motorcycle.
You mean instead of a traditional dashboard?
Exactly. They're talking about a high-resolution, customizable digital display that's designed to be visible in all riding conditions.
No more squinting at tiny gauges in the sunlight.
Exactly. Plus, you can customize what information is displayed so it's tailored to your needs.
That's slick. I've tried those handlebar phone mounts, and honestly, they're not ideal for keeping your eyes on the road.
I can imagine. So having a dedicated display that's integrated with the whole ride-in system, that's a game changer.
It sounds like it. But there's got to be a catch, right? Like, what's the downside here?
Well, one thing that jumped out at me from the documentation is that the ride-in console doesn't actually store the data itself.
It doesn't.
Nope. It gets that constant stream of information from, you guessed it, Ride in Sync.
So Ride in Sync is like the heart of this whole operation, pumping data to both the app and the console.
A very fitting analogy. And because of that central role, they put a lot of emphasis on making sure Ride in Sync is reliable, robust, and can handle anything you throw at it.
Makes sense. When you're dealing with a moving vehicle, you need your tech to be top-notch. No room for glitches out on the open road.
Exactly. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, Ride in Kick.
Ride in Kick, huh? The name makes it sound almost friendly, like a little nudge in the right direction.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about giving riders those little reminders that can make a big difference in terms of safety and maintenance.
Okay, I'm listening. Give me an example.
Let's say you're on a long ride. And the temperature drops suddenly.
Happens all the time, especially here in location.
Right. Well, ride-in kick, using all that data from the motorcycle sensors, could give you a little alert, reminding you to check your tire pressure.
Because cold weather affects tire pressure.
Exactly. It's a small thing, but it could prevent a nasty skid or even an accident.
That's actually really smart. I had a close call a few years back when the temperature dropped suddenly during a ride. If I'd had something like ride-in kick to give me a heads up about my tire pressure, who knows what could have happened.
And that's exactly the point. Ride-in kick is like having a co-pilot who's always looking out for you, even if you don't realize you need it.
So we've covered a lot of ground here with ride-in, from the app to the console, and that impressive ride-in sync.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but it all comes back to that idea of giving riders more information and control.
Exactly. But no technology is perfect, right? There have to be some limitations to this whole ride-in system, at least in its current form. What are your thoughts?
You're definitely right to be thinking about that. And, one thing that stands out to me is that in this version at least, seems pretty reliant on like pre-programmed data and manufacturer recommendations.
So it's smart, but not that smart.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's like having a co-pilot who's amazing at following the rule book.
But maybe not so great at those judgment calls you learn from experience.
Exactly. And that makes me wonder how effective Riding Kick's preset messages would be for like a really experienced rider.
Right, someone who's been riding for years probably already knows to adjust their tire pressure when it gets cold.
Exactly. They might find those alerts a little redundant, but then again, a newer rider, they might really benefit from that extra guidance.
It's a tough balance to strike, isn't it? Providing helpful reminders without overwhelming riders with too much information.
Absolutely. Imagine you're cruising down a scenic road, just enjoying the ride, and suddenly your console is lighting up with alerts about tire pressure, fuel level, upcoming maintenance.
Talk about a mood killer.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be super distracting for some riders, maybe even a little anxiety-inducing.
Like a swarm of notifications buzzing in your pocket when all you want to do is relax.
Exactly. And that brings up another important point. Customization riders should be able to choose which notifications they get, when they get them, and how they're displayed.
Absolutely. We're used to customizing notification settings on our phones and computers. It only makes sense to have that same level of control over something as important as our motorcycles, right?
100%. Now, on a slightly more technical note, another potential limitation is the risk of, malfunctions or errors.
Which is always a concern with any technology that relies on sensors and connectivity.
Exactly. Like, imagine if a sensor malfunctions and gives you a false reading about your fuel level. Not a good situation to be in.
Especially if you're miles from the nearest gas station. Talk about a buzzkill.
Right. So while the technology behind Ride-In is incredibly promising, there are definitely some kinks to work out, especially when it comes to reliability and customization.
Absolutely. But that's part of what makes this such an exciting space to watch. As technology evolves and developers get more feedback from real riders, I have a feeling we're going to see some truly groundbreaking advancements in motorcycle safety and connectivity.
Oh, for sure. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine what Ride-In could look like 5, 10 years down the line. The possibilities are endless.
And that wraps up our deep dive into ride-in. It's clear that this technology has the potential to change the way we ride, for better or for worse. We've explored the good, the bad, and everything in between, and now we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this digital nervous system for motorcycles? Head over to our website or find us on social media to share your insights. Until next time, ride safe and stay informed.